Today the funeral of this young police officer will take place, and people think, these people are from the Celtic community, that the like of ourselves don't care. They couldn't be far more mistaken. We do care, because it was a member of the community who decided to go out and try and protect the community. But what we do care about, or what does annoy us, is the fact that people like Martin McGuinness and them will walk behind that coffin and they will say how sorry they are for this young police officer. But Martin, it was your mates, it was your weapons, and it was your explosives that was used to kill that officer. So when are you going to start to give across the details? And here's the other thing Peter Robinson says about going to Mass. Well, I don't really care about Mass or whatever, but what I do care about is the Catholic Church coming clean on their involvement with the IRA. So we would call on the First Minister to ask for the Catholic Church to come clean, to set up a tribunal and have an investigation the same way as they did with the paedophile situation. It took years for the people to get any type of justice who had been molested by members of the Catholic Church, by the priests, and they also gave them justification. Whenever they went into the confession box, they were said, "It's okay, my son, you're forgiven." Them men need to be held accountable, and if Peter Robinson would spend more time asking questions like that, it would suit him a lot better. We know they used their premises to hide weapons. We know priests hid IRA men. They moved IRA men around the country. The priests were heavily involved in different parts of Ireland with the IRA, and indeed a lot of things couldn't have been done if it hadn't been for the help of certain priests. So perhaps Martin, or Peter, it's hard to know the difference between the two. If Peter was to ask questions of the Catholic Church, go to the funeral surely, but he doesn't have to go in through the door, because his teaching is that he doesn't believe what the Catholic Church preaches. So he's going to achieve nothing more unless he's thinking of being converted, which wouldn't surprise me, another Tony Blair. But the main point I'm making here is the involvement with the Catholic Church and the IRA. We're asking the DUP to ask the Catholic Church to start an investigation into the involvement of the IRA, because if it went on then, you can be sure it's going on today. And this new generation that's coming up that they're talking about, these people are the IRA. It's the IRA's weapons, it's the IRA's explosives, it's the IRA's expertise. So, if it walks like a duck and it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, you'd probably end up calling it a duck. And that's what is going on here with the IRA. These people, and you only have to see the glorification of the children in that centre in Mullaban, wearing hoods, running about with, well, we don't know if they're real or not, guns. But Conor Murphy then going and telling them about what he did. Well, what he did was plant bombs. That's what he told the children about, planting bombs, and how he was a hero within the IRA circles. Well, it is time that the demonisation of the UDR and the police was stopped, and I believe the only way we can stop that is by organisations like ourselves confronting these people, or Peter Robinson and them holding the Catholic Church accountable for what they did down during the Troubles, or what they didn't do in some cases where they turned a blind eye. And I'll say this clearly in case I'm called a hypocrite. I don't know. Not all priests were like that. There's a lot of good Roman Catholic priests, but you can't get away from the fact that a number of them were also involved with the IRA, the same as the paedophile rings. So it went on, it needs to be looked at. If we want to move on in this country, them's the type of things that need to be dealt with, and Peter will be better doing that than making an issue out of his going to Mass. I'm sure you've heard the news. Jerry McGill has been sentenced to 20 years for the attempted murder of a UDR man. Now, the hypocritical thing here is Sinn Fein are saying it shouldn't even have been in court. That this man shouldn't have been in front of the law of the land. At the same time today, they are at a policeman's funeral. People say, oh, they've changed. Have they, heck? If you look at the photographs of the children playing with the guns in South Armagh and Martin McGuinness and them up leading an illegal parade, they haven't changed. They have conned a number of individuals into believing that they have changed, but their attitude is still the same. The law of the land they do not recognise and they do not uphold. But unfortunately, some of our people are naive enough to believe that these people have changed. Jerry McGill got a reference from Sinn Féin, basically saying he was an upstanding member of the community and that he was no threat to the peace process. The man was a murderer and had been done with attempting to murder people. Now, that is not the credentials of a saint. That is the credentials of a terrorist, the same as Martin McGuinness and Jerry Kelly and Adams and these people. The same type of credentials, and we're sick to our back teeth. Whenever some of the families have said to me, and especially one girl whose father was blew up with an undercarriage booby trap bomb, but a number of other people, and some of them who actually survived but lost a leg or two legs in some incidents, said they felt sick to their stomach, to the bottom of their stomach, when they seen McGuinness go into that policeman's home. What about their homes? What about the policemen in the RUC and other PSNI members? That this man believes he can justify the actions of attempting to murder them, or indeed in some cases murdering them. People actually, I had phone calls from people who just were utterly and totally disgusted. What is wrong with the people in this country nowadays? They're prepared to get down on their knees and beg Sinn Féin not to go back to what they did. We came through the dark old days. We suffered in the dark old days. It was us that bore the brunt of the dark old days, and we certainly do not want them back. But the question is, who would bring us back to them? Is it the IRA men who are going across? Is it the IRA men who are supplying the weapons? Is it the IRA men who are supplying the Santex? This that's going on at the minute is all the hallmarks of the IRA. It is their people, it is their weapons, it is their explosives, and it is their connection with Libya. I disagreed with the peace process because it meant putting murderers into government. No democratic society can call itself a democratic society once it does that, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. Our forefathers would not allow it to happen. Why should we allow it to happen? And if we're going to be demonised for standing up what is right, well, so be it. If we're going to be continually hounded, like the DUP say that I'm now political because of what I'm saying, well, I would challenge the DUP and to see where they can come across anything that I said was political, that wasn't directly affecting victims. I am not in a political party, never have been in a political party, and the reason I didn't join a political party was because I believed that the victims needed a voice, and a voice that couldn't be tarnished for any political party. The DUP tried very hard to take control of the victims issue. It didn't happen, and it won't happen. They're trying to demonise us now, they're trying to destroy us. They're no better than the IRA. They're persecuting the families that are left behind. And if they had come and listened to the families in the middle of the night, listened to some mother who was in tears because of what happened to her son 25 years ago, and heard the hurt, they would know it is no different today than it was 25 years ago. Now we have to do that. We don't do it begrudgingly. We do it because we believe in what we are doing. But we will not take no lectures from politicians who never heard a shot fired, the majority of them. And especially whenever you look at what's in the DUP at the minute, with the exception of 3 or 4. They never seen trouble. They don't know what trouble is. Whenever I consider what we did for Peter Robinson by going down and guarding him in his home, it was the biggest waste of 4 months of my life that I have ever had the misfortune of partaking in. If I ever was asked what was the biggest mistake I made, it was that, giving up our time to go down and guard Peter Robinson, the very man who would sit with a man who justifies the murder of our loved ones, or tries to justify the murder of our loved ones. Mark McGuinness, the Bogside Butcher, the man that walked about with a Thompson machine gun on Bloody Sunday, the man that took young Haggerty away, who promised his mother that he would be safe if he came home. This is the type of man that we now see going into police officers' homes. And he's only going if he was changed, if the whole thing was completely different, if there was no attacks that the people were promised. And people will say, well, there's not as many attacks, Willie, we should be happy. There's not as many attacks unless it is actually you that's being attacked. As we used to say during the Troubles, until it comes to your door, you don't really care. And that is as true today as it was 25 years ago. Until it comes to your door, you don't care. Let's be truthful about that. And by the time it comes to your door, it is too late. And the DUP can sit and they can dress this up all they want, and they can say that Willie Fraser's this and Fair is that, but what we are doing is what we believe in, and we will not allow the memory of our loved ones to be tarnished, and their families to be persecuted by the so-called unionist representation that we now have, because they do not care. They will allow the UDR and the police and the army to be demonised by the Republican movement. They will put millions of pounds, or allow millions of pounds, to go into them through funding of the EU and other things.